Golfers, you've been watching thousands of YouTube videos, grinding your way at the range, and you're still slicing the golf ball. In today's video, we're going to learn how to square the club face up through impact and ultimately create some speed and power without having to swing any faster. Now, there's a key difference post-impact between amateur golfers and professional golfers. Let's take a quick look at Rory McIlroy, for example. This is the position we're working on. Just post-impact, okay, you can see Rory's got this trail hand out extended, the arms are out in front of him quite straight, and his chest and his hips are rotating towards the target. This is post-impact with his driver. Now, a lot of amateur golfers look like this. The hands are quite close to their body, their belt buckle hasn't really moved, and the chest is still facing in this direction towards the camera. Okay, so a little bit stunted in that position. So a lot of amateurs are here, but pros are here. So how do we get ourselves into that pro position? Because this is the key piece that's not only going to help you strike the ball further, but square up the club face in the process. Let's get stuck into it. We just had a look at Rory McIlroy's position, so now we have to work on this ourselves. Now, the drill I have for you is quite simple. You're going to take your setup, you're going to take your trail hand off, let it hang and rest against your trail thigh. And then you're just going to push this left arm out in front of you. Okay, kind of like when a baseball player swings and they kind of let the hand follow. We're going to get that position there so that the bottom of the club is in line with my lead hip. And then from there, I'm going to get you to reach forward and take your grip. All right, so when I do this, I can't just reach with my arm. I'm going to get stuck. So I have to turn my belt buckle and my chest to be able to reach and get into my finish position. Now look at that. That looks pretty familiar in comparison to Rory, as opposed to this one, right? So I'm here, I'm turning my belt buckle and I'm reaching. And now I'm going to start creating some swings, trying to get into that position. So you can see here that I'm getting quite wide through impact. As opposed to if I was to put this club out there and then not turn my body, the only way to get my hand on is to bring this closer, chicken wing here, and bring my hands here to match. Again, I'm out in front, I am reaching, and now I'm swinging and trying to get into that position. Notice my trail foot starting to pivot, my belt buckle and my chest working towards the target. Okay, so just to start with, let's try that in motion, but just like a half swing to begin with. So I'm going to take my setup like I normally do. I'm going to bring that club out in front of me and then turn. Okay. Now from there, I'm going to make a baby swing, like a half swing, so hands about the height of my chest, and then I'm through into that position. So hands to chest, and then that nice wide finish. Let's see what happens here. Little draw, went left. You're going to find, in fact, my face angle was closed to a degree. You're going to find it really difficult to slice the ball from this position. So let's go again. Take my setup. Again, first I'm just going to take my right hand off, get that left hand reaching out, the baseball move, and right hand to meet. Okay, and then I can make some practice swings trying to get back there over the top of the ball. Okay, I like that feeling. Same thing, working and focusing on that release there. So halfway back, nice wide extension through the ball. Another one that's curving right to left, okay, important to note. So let's see now what would happen if I let my arms get into that T-Rex position like this, where they get really close to me. So I'm gonna take my setup and I'm gonna just feel my hands kind of coming across my body. I'm gonna feel a lack of rotation and get into this familiar position where I'm a little bit cramped through impact. So the opposite of what we wanna do. So lack of body rotation, more of my hands moving through. Halfway, hands. Let's see what happens with the ball flight. Straight right. I made the same swing, but I changed the way my body moves. The first one, the good swing, we made sure that the club was in extension out in front of us and our hips, our belt buckle and our chest working towards the target. And then the second one was just my hands coming through. So you'll notice in a full swing, for golfers who get that cramped finish position and lack of body rotation, when they get to the top, if they're not turning their body, then their hands have to work this way, okay, to the right of the screen to create space, okay, because the body's in the way, okay, and I need to get that trail elbow out in front of me. I can't do that if my body hasn't rotated. So more often than not, people will come here, they'll come over the top, they're getting cramped, you can see that already, and then I'm through and I have a lack of rotation, and that causes that slice. But instead, if I'm working on that width position, that Rory McIlroy position, again, I have to, from the top, be turning. And you can see that as I'm turning, so as I'm getting this rib cage under and rotating, I've created space for my right elbow to now come through and deliver the club efficiently. Okay, I've got one last tip for those of you that are struggling to still get this slice under control. And it's a super, super simple visual. If our slice is still occurring, we know that the club face is open. So in other words, I know that the heel of the club is out racing the toe of the club. And what I mean by that is, as I'm coming through impact, if the heel gets the head, the toe falls behind, that club face aims to the right. What if you think about getting the toe of the club out racing the heel? That would essentially shut the face of the club. So with that in mind, and with the drill that we've just worked on, if I think about that, when I am doing this with my left arm, I'm realistically getting that toe ahead of the heel. Because otherwise, if I get the heel ahead, it looks like this. So now all I've got to think about is, okay, well, if I'm coming through and the heel is consistently ahead, what does it feel like to get that toe ahead? Look at my right elbow here. It has to extend. Okay, it's in extension. And like I said before, if my body is rotating, then I have space for this right elbow, okay, this trail elbow, and then I can extend it on the way through. If my body doesn't rotate, I've got nowhere to go. I'm probably going to stand up and keep this elbow bent, and then it's harder to extend it through impact. Okay, so let's take what we know, and we're actually going to try and almost hit a bit of a hook now, the complete opposite. So I'm working on the extension position and toe of the club beating the heel of the club through impact. Really feeling that toe bypass the heel. And there you go, that little snap hook just occurred. So now if I know how to do that and what that feels like, okay, because I really exaggerated getting the toe ahead, should be a lot easier to fix the slice. If I start getting in the hook, then I know my spectrum of there's my hook and there's my slice, and now I find middle ground. Okay, so now that we've got the feels, we've got the extension, and we've got the idea of the toe beating the heel, now we're just going to work into a full swing. And I'm simply going to focus on my position through impact. I'm rotating the hips and the chest and getting my hands away from me in a nice wide arc. Felt a nice wide arc through impact there at full speed. And there you have it. My face angle at -0.4, so slightly closed. Really good club path. Pretty much dead straight ball flight. Pretty happy with that. And all I did to get myself into that rhythm was, again, this drill right here. Working on what it feels like to get there first, and then piecing it together, right? So we did it statically to begin with. Then we had some movement. Then we said, all right, half swing, ball's introduced, and then we had full swing with ball introduced, right? So that's how I would go about fixing your slice and working on a better drive off the tee and progressively going through that drill to get there. If this drill helped and you haven't already gone back and watched that other video on how to fix your slice, I'd highly recommend you do, as those pieces of information that we went through there are key concepts to absolutely nailing it off the tee. If this helped, I'd appreciate a like and subscribe. You can always find me on Skillist as well if you'd like to work together. Obviously, different players with different swings. We can really fine tune a practice program to your swing and tailor it so you get the best results. If you'd like to learn more, hit the link in the description. We'll see you in the next one, and we'll simplify your swing together.